from the Huascaran avalanche that buried an entire town of 25,000 people in under 2 minutes, and the Aberfan disaster that swallowed a school full of children alive, to the Armero Tragedy, where 24,000 people were dead before sunrise. Here are the top 10 deadliest disasters with shocking twists. Vajont Gorge, Northern Italy. October 9th, 1963, 10:39 at night. Families were asleep. Workers were on top of the dam, watching what they thought would be a small landslide. They were the first to die. The entire southern flank of Monte Toc collapsed into the reservoir. 350 million cubic yards of rock hit the water at 70 miles per hour in just 30 seconds. The wave it created was 750 feet high. It shot over the top of the dam and sent 13 billion gallons of water straight into the valley below. 4 minutes later, the wave hit Longarone. Of the 1,328 people in town that night, 1,269 were killed. A 94% fatality rate. Geologists had warned for years that Monte Toc was unstable. A landslide had already hit the reservoir in 1960. By October 1963, the mountain was slipping 3 feet per day. Engineers knew a collapse was coming. They simply had no idea how large it would be. The dam never broke. The water just went over the top. Between 2,000 and 2,500 people were killed in under 4 minutes. Longarone was completely gone the next morning. No rubble, just flat mud. In 1969, the lead engineer and company officials were convicted of manslaughter. Each got 6 years. The dam still stands today, empty, never used again. A reminder of what ignored warnings cost. A volcano erupted 50 kilometers away. The town felt nothing. 2 hours later, 24,000 people were dead. Armero, Colombia, November the 13th, 1985. Most of the 23,000 residents were asleep. Local radio had told them to stay calm just hours before. Nevado del Ruiz volcano erupted and melted 10% of its ice cap. Millions of gallons of water mixed with mud, rock, and ash, and came pouring down the mountain as lahars, thick rivers of debris with the consistency of wet concrete, moving fast and silent, straight toward Armero. Rooftops barely visible above the surface. 85% of an entire town buried in 2 hours. Geologists had been warning about this volcano since 1984. Hazard maps were drawn showing Armero was in a high danger zone. Officials delayed. Radio stations told residents to stay calm. The mayor himself said he saw no danger. Minutes later, the mud hit, and he was killed. The warnings existed. The action did not. A 30-foot wall of mud crashed into Armero at 11:30 p.m., pouring through doors and windows, burying people in their beds. The mud flowed for 2 hours without stopping. Rescuers could not reach the town for 12 hours. Every road and bridge had been destroyed. When they arrived, they had almost no equipment. Many used only their bare hands. Armero was never rebuilt. It remains buried under hardened mud to this day. Lituya Bay, Alaska, July 9th, 1958, 10:15 at night. 3 fishing boats were anchored inside the bay. The water was calm. The night was still. Without warning, a magnitude 7.8 earthquake struck directly beside the bay. The force was so violent that 90 million tons of rock and ice broke away from the surrounding cliffs and plunged 3,000 feet straight into the water. The impact sent a wave exploding outward across the bay at over 100 miles per hour. Look at the bay. a glacier sitting at the far end. This is where the rock hit the water. Lituya Bay sits directly on top of a major earthquake fault. The narrow shape of the bay and its steep surrounding cliffs made it a perfect trap. When the earthquake broke the cliffs loose, the falling rock had nowhere to land but the water, and the water had nowhere to go but straight up. The wave ran 1,720 feet up the hillside, higher than the Empire State Building, the tallest tsunami ever measured in recorded human history. Papua New Guinea, July 17, 1998. 6:49 in the evening. Children were playing on the beach. The sea was completely calm. A magnitude 7 earthquake struck 15 miles offshore. Tsunami centers ran calculations and confirmed zero threat. 3 minutes later, the ocean pulled back, exposing the seabed. A 50-foot wall of water hit the coastline at 35 miles per hour. 3 villages were gone in seconds. A 600-ton ship was carried half a mile inland. Cars wrapped around palm trees. Of Warapu's 1,500 residents, Malol village was erased completely. Scientists were baffled for years. A magnitude 7 earthquake should produce waves no more than 3 feet. In 2001, researchers discovered a massive underwater scar on the ocean floor. That created the wave, not the earthquake itself. 2,200 people killed in minutes. 3 villages completely destroyed. To understand the scale, the underwater avalanche was large enough to displace an entire ocean shelf in seconds. The wave it created was 15 times bigger than the earthquake alone should have produced. The discovery changed tsunami science forever. August 8, 1975. 7 million people lived below the dam. Most were asleep. Typhoon Nina dumped over 40 inches of rain in 24 hours. The dam was designed to handle 11.8 inches. That amount fell in just 2 hours. Workers piled sandbags on top of the dam using branches, straw. Communication lines went down. Operators waited too long to open the floodgates. Just after 1 a.m., the water level suddenly dropped. The dam had not held. It had burst. 280,000 Olympic swimming pools worth of water tore through the valley in minutes. One commune of 9,600 people downstream was wiped out entirely. The dam was built in 1952 under Mao's Great Leap Forward. China's leading hydrologist warned that only 5 floodgates were not enough and recommended 12. The warnings were buried. Nobody believed the iron dam could break. When the storm hit, there was no working communication, no organized response, and not enough gates to release the water. 62 additional dams in the region also collapsed the same night. 6 billion cubic meters of water flooded 30 counties, destroyed 6.8 million homes. Villages were simply gone. Railway lines twisted into scrap metal. The official death toll was 26,000. The real number was hidden for 2 decades. Documents declassified in 2005 revealed the true estimate at around 230,000 people killed. The iron dam that could never break may have killed 250,000 people, and the world was not told for 20 years. Saint-Pierre, Martinique, May 8, 1902. A thriving city of 30,000 people was starting its day. Mount Pelée exploded and sent a pyroclastic flow directly into the city. A burning wall of gas, ash, and rock, traveling at 100 meters per second and reaching 1,000 degrees Celsius, hit Saint-Pierre head-on. The entire city vanished in seconds. Buildings collapsed. Metal roofs ripped off. every street buried in rubble and charred remains. Rescuers compared the scene to Hiroshima. The volcano had been warning for weeks. A lahar had already destroyed a factory, killing 30 workers. Still, the governor declared the city safe. 30,000 people killed in seconds. Every ship in the harbor capsized or set on fire. Lake Nyos, Cameroon, West Africa. August 21st, 1986. Around 9 o'clock at night. Villages surrounding the lake were quiet. Without any warning, the lake released 300,000 tons of carbon dioxide in a single burst. The gas had no color, no smell, and because it was heavier than air, it did not rise, and moved silently into every home, down every valley within 25 kilometers. Nobody knew it was coming. Nobody had time to react. This is the area surrounding Lake Nyos. Green hills, small farms, quiet village paths. Everything looks completely ordinary. That night, every inch of this landscape was flooded with invisible deadly gas while the entire community slept. Deep beneath the lake, volcanic activity had been slowly releasing carbon dioxide into the cold bottom waters for centuries. Scientists believe a landslide disturbed the layers just enough to release everything stored at the bottom all at once. 1,746 people dead by morning. In the 2 villages closest to the lake, only 4 people survived. Every one of them had been on higher ground. Yungay, Peru. May 31st, 1970. Up to 25,000 people were gathered in town for Sunday church service and the weekly market. A massive earthquake struck off the Peruvian coast. The tremors dislodged an enormous slab of rock and ice from the north peak of Huascarán. It fell 2,000 feet onto the glacier below and came roaring down the valley at 270 miles per hour, picking up everything in its path. A 200-foot wall of mud and rock erased the entire town instantly. In 1962, a smaller avalanche from the same glacier had already killed 4,000 people. 2 American climbers then surveyed the mountain and found a massive, unstable rock face directly above, warning the next avalanche would be catastrophic. 8 years later, the mountain did exactly what they warned. Between 22,000 and 25,000 people killed in under 2 minutes. The deadliest avalanche in recorded human history. The entire town gone. Only 350 people survived. Many were children who had been watching a clown perform. Yungay was never excavated. The dead remain buried under 30 feet of hardened mud to this day. Johnstown, Pennsylvania, May 31st, 1889. A town of 30,000 people sat 14 miles downstream. Days of record rainfall pushed the reservoir behind the South Fork Dam to its limit. Workers desperately tried to clear the clogged spillway and failed. At 2:50 p.m., the dam collapsed. 3.8 billion gallons of water roared down the valley at 40 miles per hour. In just over an hour, it hit Johnstown, buildings crushed instantly, people in the streets torn apart by debris and wire. Everything piled up against the stone bridge at the edge of town and caught fire. Engineers had warned for years the dam was unsafe. Nobody listened. 2,208 people killed. 99 entire families wiped out completely. 4 square miles of downtown Johnstown destroyed. Streets buried under debris and mud. To understand the force, 3.8 billion gallons emptied through a narrow valley in just over an hour. An entire lake dropped onto a city at once. The disaster was ruled an act of God. October 21st, 1966. The children of Pantglass Junior School had just arrived for the day. A massive coal waste heap sitting on the hillside above the village had been slowly absorbing water from a natural spring beneath it. Over 100,000 cubic meters of black slurry broke loose and came flowing downhill at 15 miles per hour as a wave the height of a 2-story building. It hit the junior school directly and buried it completely. 18 houses were destroyed. Everything in its path was gone in seconds. Residents emerged from nearby houses and began digging with garden tools. The spoil heap had been built directly above a natural spring. Coal residue was already blocking drains and flooding the village. Every complaint was ignored. Residents were kept quiet by the implicit threat that if they pushed too hard, the mine would close, taking every job in the area with it. 144 people killed. 116 of them were children. All survivors were pulled from the rubble within the first 2 hours. After 11 a.m., rescuers found only bodies. Most children had died from suffocation or crushing injuries. 81 children were buried together in a single mass grave. 5 disasters. 5 moments when nature gave no warning and took everything in seconds. If you made it this far, drop a comment below with the disaster that shocked you the most. And if you want to see more stories like these, subscribe to our channel. We make top natural disaster videos.